We're going to Wayne Madsen here in just a moment, and then into a big news blitz coming up in the next hour while a guest joins us on a host of issues. But before I go any further, I want to thank the sponsors that make this radio show and everything else we do possible. One of them is efoodsdirect.com. Non-hybrid, non-GMO food, all grown right here in America except for the bananas. And they're the biggest outfit in the country, the longest continually operating, and they make their food new every month. And it lasts more than 10 years in climate controlled, 10 years in your attic or garage, like that's where I've got my food, where I've got room for it. And you'll never stand in a bread line if you have your own bread, folks. I mean, now is the time to, ahead of this depression, have storable food. And if you end up not needing it, you can eat your investment. It's high-quality, tasty food. They've got a bunch of different important food lines. So just check it out. It's efoodsdirect.com, the letter E, foodsdirect.com, banners up on Infowars.com, or give them a call at 800-409-5633, 800-409-5633 to get a free brochure. And one other sponsor I want to tell you about is Diamond Gusset Jeans, made in America. You've heard their catchy jingle that everyone around the office sings. Because a lot of people have the show on, and I can walk from office to office during breaks, from room to room, and hear basically everyone singing the jingle. But they're made in America. They got motorcycle jeans, regular jeans, a whole bunch of other great stuff. And you want to check them out at gussetclothing.com. Gusset spelled Gusset, gussetclothing.com. And these things are double sewn in the crotch, because that's where my jeans always seem to tear out when I pick up a box or something, if they're Levi's made overseas. Gussetclothing.com. They sew a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gusset. Gusset's got it. Others don't. All right. Now I'm going to start. All right, I'm going to stop right there. I was at my mother's house yesterday. I dropped by to drop my children off. I took my wife out to dinner, and my mother had the rebroadcast on in the house. And as I walk in the door, she's singing the Blue Diamond Gusset song. Oh, okay. I'm going to shut up. It's the most catchy jingle I've ever heard. I've got to say that. Getting into more serious subjects, I want to get into his inside investigation onto what's really happening with BP. Will you guys reprint me the Kurt Nimmo article? I know you did, but I can't find it, about CBS News reporting that BP contractors won't let people on public beaches to videotape the oil. I mean, this is an example of martial law and tyranny violating the press. This is Obama's open press. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the major political realignment with Specter going down, Grayson, the Republican, going down to Rand Paul, other Republican and Democrat establishment people going down. The media has framed this as if the Tea Party movement is an anti-Democrat thing. But Rick Perry, Senator Cornyn, and others were booed a year and a half ago here in Texas at Tea Parties. But the media has tried to make it a Republican issue so that so-called left feels like they're not part of the political debate, so they automatically are basically given the role of being pro-establishment when we're all in this together. So this clearly shows a realignment, and the system is panicking, and they're trying to use Rand Paul as the figurehead to destroy him. But as I told Salon yesterday, you are out of bullets in the mainstream media. If you're an establishment Republican or Democrat, you are gone come November, Jones said. The good news is that people are coming in from both parties who have much better track records as constitutionalists and don't have these establishment pedigrees. He also warned the media against smearing Paul. The mainstream media doesn't understand. They are out of bullets. When the mainstream media wants to hurt Rand Paul, they should come out and endorse him. When the establishment attacks someone, it only empowers them. So we'll talk about that and what's happening in the markets with Wayne Madsen, WayneMadsenReport.com. He's a D.C.-based investigative journalist, author, syndicated columnist. He's written for The Village Voice, The Progressive, Counterpunch, Online Journal, Corp Watch, Multinational Monitor, News Leader, The Times, The American Conservative. His columns have appeared in the Miami Herald, Houston Chronicle, Philadelphia Inquirer. It goes Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He wrote the Handbook of Personal Data Protection, acclaimed reference book on international data law, genocide and covert operations in Africa. It just goes on and on. He's a regular contributor to ABC, NBC, Russia Today, Al Jazeera, CNN. He's been invited to testify as a witness before the U.S. House of Representatives, the UN Criminal Tribunal, And, of course, he worked with the NSA and a bunch of other federal agencies, the Naval Data Automated Command, Department of State. So we've got him on for the next 25 minutes to go over all these subjects. Wayne Madsen, what do you want to get into first? Of the subjects I mentioned that you've been reporting on, what do you think is most important?
Well, I normally cover, inside the Beltway, Alex, but actually this week I'm in Chicago because there's just a lot of stories about our current president and his, for lack of a better term, his cronies that have just gone unreported by the Chicago papers, which are basically been decimated with Sam Zell basically destroying the Chicago Trib, and the Sun-Times not in very good shape. And so I'm going to be intermittently now in Chicago from time to time to basically help pick up the slack that the few investigative journalists in this city can't get to a lot of these stories. So I'm going to give them a hand. And just in the few days I've been here, all I can say is the person who's in the White House, who we all see, is not the person who is the president. Believe you me.
Well, I mean, weathermen, corrupt poverty pimps, slumlords, mafia, break down your research of Barack Obama. I mean, if this has got you out of D.C., in Chicago, we know this is big news. What are you ferreting out on Obama?
Well, let's just start with the Blagojevich trial. It's very clear that Blagojevich, like many of his predecessors as governors of Illinois, there's been many who have been indicted, and many have gone to jail. Otto Kerner and Walker, and even Blagojevich's predecessor, Republican George Ryan. But when we look at this case against Blagojevich, what we have is Patrick Fitzgerald, who's a dirty U.S. prosecuting attorney here in Illinois, cutting a deal with people like Rahm Emanuel and Obama, put the attention on Blagojevich, only concentrate on certain segments of wiretap information. Don't listen to the other 500 hours of wiretaps that would implicate Mr. Obama, Mr. Emanuel, and others, including Alex Giannoulis, who's running for the U.S. Senate, Obama's good buddy, whose bank, Broadway Bank, failed, and Broadway Bank made one of the loans, the initial loan to Resco. We know that Resco put up the money for Obama to buy this $500,000 home in Hyde Park near the University of Chicago, which is not a bad section, by the way, of the South Side. So what we have is Resco being indicted, Blagojevich being indicted, and it's very clear to me that those indictments should have also been served to Rahm Emanuel, Barack Obama, and potentially an individual who voluntarily gave up her law license rather than face a major civil suit. The records of the Supreme Court of Illinois, the disciplinary board, have been sealed, and the person who voluntarily gave up her law license was Michelle Obama, the First Lady.
You just made me have a double take there. Did you say Rahm Emanuel and Obama, you believe, have been served secret indictments?
No, they should be. They should be. But the concentration, of course, by Fitzgerald, who was kept on, Bush's U.S. attorney, has been on Blagojevich, Resco, and the fair game, when in fact there should be, if we had a decent U.S. attorney here in northern Illinois who was really interested in going after corruption, we would actually, if it was an honest U.S. attorney, we would have had indictments issued against Obama, Rahm Emanuel, and Valerie Jarrett, who's his policy advisor, and a number of the other cronies, probably including the Secretary of Education, Arnie Duncan. All these people who are Obama's friends and cronies. And I should add that one of them, of course, is Elena Kagan, who now has been nominated for the Supreme Court.
Did they choose Obama not just because he's good-looking and can read off a teleprompter well, but because he's so compromised with all of these mafia connections?
Well, he's totally blackmailed. We can look at his history. 10 years ago, Obama didn't have $10 in his pocket to put gas in his gas tank of his car. By the way, he had this car. It was sold on eBay. Apparently, it only had 22,000 miles on it, But even at 22,000 miles, apparently the tires were so beat up. I have to imagine this guy was peeling rubber on the streets of Chicago and running around town. But, here's a guy he and his wife were being harassed by creditors, credit card collection agencies. And, they had three salaries. His is Illinois State Senator. His is a part-time professor at the University of Chicago. And her